Welcome to another episode of the State of the Bulldogs with Sam, Mike, Jeb, and Grant. We've been a little spotty this summer. Football's coming, so we are going to get back to regular programming at some point. But tonight, again, continuing with the coaching theme in July, we have Coach Curry of the softball team. Coach Curry, how are we doing?
Doing good. Excited to be here. I appreciate you guys.
Oh, we
Yes.
appreciate you.
Hey, Sam, is this our first Samford Hall of Famer we've had on the show?
Oh gosh. I don't know.
I think so, but we have a few. We got a few
Okay.
Hall of Famers in the pipeline, future
That's
There
Hall
you
of
go.
Famers.
okay, because I can run through the resume if you want to, but
Gosh, please.
I kind of want to hear it, Grant. You got it pulled up?
I gotta pull it up. I went down the bio. We gotta have the record, score record. Or just going down the score records. Batting average first, hits second. These are single season. Hits second, runs scored second, doubles first, stolen bases tied for first, and then career stats: batting average second, second in hits, second in runs, first in doubles. How's
And
that
you
for you,
had
Sam?
hits
Yes.
until 2019, I think, or
Yeah,
something
I
like
think it was
that.
Shelby Mays right
That
after
sounds
me.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the year right after or
That's
two.
tough. That's
Um,
tough.
yeah, and I was coaching. I was an assistant there. So I remember when she got the hit, I think it was at Chattanooga and I got to hug her. So it was pretty
Okay.
neat. Yeah.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. Well, Coach,
I
we're
was doing I was
go
doing
ahead,
the
Grant.
control F for Kerr. I was like, oh wait, no doubt he's the maiden name.
Yeah,
That's
you
it.
don't have
Maybe
to
that we
do
got to search
that.
for
You
that. I
just
know, right?
look at
Yeah.
the top.
Yeah.
That's right.
It is a
Yeah.
little ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I think, Coach, that's why we're excited to have you because you really infused a lot of excitement into the program. Coach Cassidy definitely brought in some fun players, and we had some fun moments during her reign. But it's a program that has not seen any heights since you were playing. I ran through the list. We've had seven, eight. I think this was our eighth winning season in program history, which is wild. And
Hmm.
we only have two conference titles. So to say that the slate was blank when you took over is saying the least. So, Coach, we're excited. We're excited to hear about the softball program. So let's begin. Um, when you knew you were in the running to be the Samford coach, let's just start there and kind of go into your first season.
Yeah, so I think it was interesting just because of the situation that I was kind of already in. Birmingham Southern had just closed, and I think we spent probably 3 or 4 weeks after the season ended, really not knowing anything. I think jobs in the softball world start to come available in May, but really it's June and July where you really know if people are moving or staying. So, the Wallace job was open, and that's about, I don't know, an hour and 10 minutes from where we live, which isn't terrible, all things considered. Parker's over at UAB, so it was important that we stayed here. And so after meeting with them, ended up getting the job up there, and I had started there, and all of a sudden the opportunity at Samford, became a possibility, and we're sitting in the room talking like, all right, should we do this? Should we try? Should we, all the conversations that are, feel normal, but it's always been a place that we felt like if there was ever an opportunity to give it a shot, I would, just because we love it. It's home, our family's here. Given the situation, it was probably the toughest, I think, moral thing I've had to do is have to even have that conversation. And we had a talk about if this was anybody else. This conversation is a really
Sure.
easy.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. However, it is home, and it's closer to where we live. And yeah, I could talk about all the logistics of it, but at the end of the day, there'll never be a place that I love, more than Sanford. And I think it didn't really hit me until it kind of halfway started to become a reality. And I'm like, okay, now I've got to really make a decision here. And I think in my heart, I try to be a good person, but in my heart, it was a conflict because it felt hard to start a job and then have to say, I'm sorry, I've got to go do this
For sure.
because this is what's right for our family. Um, but it was a really easy yes. I think the second that I started to understand that this could be a possibility, I tried really hard not to get excited, but you just put so much time into when you're in college and school and you think about it. And I never
Hmm.
thought it would be now. I didn't. I think I told Parker that even if I'm 50 years old and it's the last job I ever get, I just want to say at some point I was there. So it was definitely something we weren't expecting, but you know, Wallace handled it about as good as you can handle a situation like that. I think, I all the way up, they just gave grace, and they weren't super happy, obviously.
Sure.
Neither was the team, and rightfully so. However, at the end of the day, we've got to choose. We've got at the time, had a 1.5-year-old, and we just knew that, this would probably be a long future here at Samford, and just a dream that I'd had forever. So, just super blessed. And I think the first day I pulled on campus, after I had the job, the weight of it all, just hit, and, was just excited. It's the same office that I used to sit in when I was either in trouble or,
Yeah,
needing to be
you're on the
talked to
other
about
side now.
something. And now I'm sitting in the chair and I'm like, oh
The
my
Hall of
goodness.
Famer in trouble? What? There's no way that
I think
happens.
everybody gets in trouble. You didn't say the right thing or do the right thing. So,
Yeah.
it was a lot, I think, to take in a short amount of time,
Sure.
especially after what happened at Birmingham Southern. So it felt like a lot in the moment. However,
Yeah, it's
it
kind
was,
of whiplash.
yeah, but it was exciting in the same sense, in that, oh gosh, this is what we've kind of always talked about and hoped for at some point in life. And then, okay, now there's a lot of work to do. What do we do now?
Yes. All right. So you step into the role, you get on campus. What do you see? What was the state of the program when you took over? Obviously, the roster had some good talent, but what changes did you want to make right off the bat?
I think just being an alumni, I've always kept up with the team. I was really only about a year removed. So I was an assistant coach for 2 years after I graduated. And so I helped recruit some of those girls that had just graduated, like the Lindsay Nelson, Ansley. I was part of that recruiting class. And so I had just missed of those that I actually knew. So I knew Partain. I recruited her at Mercer when I was at Mercer. And then I just knew a few of the other ones, just, because I was an alumni. And so I felt like over the years I kept up enough to watch, kind of
Hmm.
what's happening. Oh my goodness, they're so talented. Kinsey Newcomb was so good. Every single year I would say they're going to win. 100% they're going to win, because I just thought they always had the talent. And, for whatever reason, and you could take that all the way back even to my career before we won, for whatever reason, we just couldn't cross the line. We got walked off my junior year, up one in the last inning against Chattanooga for a championship. There's just always, and the year after that, we lost in 17 when I was a coach, just in the championship game. So there's always those moments. But now that I'm on this side of it and the coaching side of it, I think we look back and we're like, okay, this was it. This was the reason why. So I think the biggest piece was kind of the pressure, which I tell the girls all the time, that's such a privilege that you have the pressure. But I've got all my friends and alumni and everybody else saying it's time, like, but let's win, let's do this. How can I help? And it's all encouraging, but it's also, all right, you're sitting in the seat now, so
Yeah.
what's it gonna be? Um, and I think the hard part was we had too many players. And I had no idea until I got there. I didn't know who the incoming freshmen were. I didn't know who was returning. I'd heard a lot of talk, that some people might not be coming back, some people are in the portal. So when I got there, the first thing we did was we tried to talk to everybody and just kind of get their thoughts on what they wanted to do, if they were staying, if they were leaving. Um, Unfortunately, though, we had, I think, about 28 at the time, and that's just what I told them, and it's the truth, is it is number one hard from a financial standpoint to provide a good experience. I was blessed. Mandy was my coach. We had an SEC experience at Samford with gear, equipment, travel. I mean, we had it top notch, and so that's just kind of my expectation of what the Division 1, experience should look like. So I want to be able to provide that, number one. But number two, we're as a coaching staff so relational that I don't know how you pour into 28 girls the correct way and then also provide the opportunity that they want and need. And honestly, some of them should be having. But you have a lot of talent. And so when you have a lot of talent, that's hard because they're going to play until they're not. They're making the mistakes. a bad teammate, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, we have to win. And so we just had too many. And so unfortunately, one of the first decisions we had to make was how do we get to a good number? And, before we had kind of heard the rumblings of a roster cap. When that would happen, we had no idea. Now, we would have had to have made that decision this year because we would have had
Sure.
too many and we would have had to make the cuts. But I think it was just kind of, hey, we're in it. Let's do it now. It seems like if there is a respectful way to do it, not to wait a year and just to kind of say, hey, how can I help? Get you to wherever you need to go. And there's multiple people that went different places. One went to Western, one went to a JUCO. A few didn't play. We tried to do our best with, trying to bridge the gap, but it's a tough situation for them to be in, and I didn't blame them one bit for the way that they thought. So um, it's hard, but that was the first thing we needed to do. And then from that moment on, we just tried to gain the respect of everybody else and just to say, hey, this is not something that we'll do again. We want to, respect and give and build the relationships and all the things. And so hopefully this year proved that that wasn't just talk and that, we spent the whole fall just pouring into them. And, we probably didn't practice softball as much as we should have. I mean, seriously, and
Yeah.
maybe that's why we didn't win, but I think culture has to be number one. So that was
Sure.
just the priority is to get there, build relationships, let them know that we care and we love about them or love them. And then they're talented enough, and it worked out. They're talented enough that we were going to win games. And so we just had to prioritize it.
Yeah.
Did you bring
Being
in
it,
any
I'm sorry.
players with you?
We brought two from Birmingham Southern, Katie
Okay.
Hart and Olivia Trout.
And then how did you pick your staff?
Sarah came with me from Birmingham Southern, so she's our pitching coach, and she had just graduated from UAB. She was a fifth year, so she's a little bit older, and had the experience of just recently playing, but then also got to be with me, so she knows how I work and I know how she works, and they loved her at Birmingham Southern, so it was really easy to want her to come, and she did a great job last year, and then Bella she's kind of in like our volunteer role. She was a player at Birmingham Southern and she's just kind of getting her foot in the door with coaching, and so she helps Logan out with the infield. But then Logan Calhoun, she's our kind of defensive infielder hitting coach that has been a couple different places. She played at Troy. She was most recently at a D2 in Arkansas. So she was, halfway wanting to come back over, get closer to home. She's from Georgia. So this was just, I think, a good opportunity for her, and Sarah knew her, so that was kind of the mutual connection. And I met her out in Texas. Actually, I was out recruiting, and she was down there at the same tournament, and we just got to talking. And Sarah could vouch for her, so we needed somebody. I'm not an infielder, obviously, so it was important that we had somebody that could really understand and manage and lead all of them, and she's done great.
What were you gonna say, Grant?
Oh no, I was just gonna go into the roster. Just talk about when you're getting into that first kind of months, like you said, kind of building rapport and getting into these girls. You had a really good balance of some good younger players and then a core group of 5 or 6 seniors. What was it like, kind of going through that group and knowing you had this core kind of senior group to lead on to help the younger ones out?
Yeah, I think like when I was a player, it was a little bit easier because there was the same coach for the 4 years. So they were recruited to one coach, played for another, and now here they are in their last year for their seniors having
Yeah.
to learn something new. And so that might have honestly been the most challenging part is even though we leaned on them for leadership, it was harder almost to get with them than anyone else because they were so in their way of just what they knew. And it's not their fault. It was nobody's fault. But, Greer specifically, and Jordan on the mound, like they did a lot of leadership stuff for us and they always bought in and said yes. Sarah the same way. Michaela in the outfield, they all wanted the role, but it was how fast can we do this? How fast can we get you to understand kind of what we want, and how can you lead the very best that you can? And I'm big on it doesn't have to be seniors that are in leadership. We had some other people that we were leaning on. However, um, it
It
was
helps.
tough.
Yeah.
It was tough. They got it on the field, but off the field, we just kind of had to do a little bit more, I think, teaching through the season, and that's kind of the part that takes years. Like you can tell them what you would like your culture to be, but until they actually take it and do it, it's
Right.
not culture. It's just
Yeah.
words. So
Right.
they did as good of a job as they could do, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean they had to learn a totally new coaching staff, and then they said yes to all of it. And so as good as they could do as leaders in a short amount of time, they did so well. And I think now the younger ones have seen it. They've watched them try to learn and grow and lead, and now hopefully there are some things that I don't have to say again, just because it's happened and
Yeah.
we've learned the lesson from last year.
Yeah. It's like 3 years of trust that they had with someone else, and you got to jump in right away. And you got the
Yeah.
job in June, July, and then we have the fall, and then obviously the season coming around. It's a quick turnaround to kind of try to get them to not what you want them to do, but basically what you want them to do and what to build around the team
Oh
themselves.
yeah, 100%. And
So,
they're go ahead.
well, at what point did y'all know, like before the season started? Because we started off so well. Like, at what point were you like, all right, this could be a nice little team we have
I
here?
mean, I say this to everybody, but I mean, I know everyone thought I was crazy, but I felt it in the first few weeks of practice, like in the fall. I'm like,
Oh,
man, unless the SoCon has really changed, this is at least a competitive team. Do I think we're number one? Absolutely no, I
yeah,
don't, because we had a long way to go. But I told them this, and I am in 100% agreement still. That team was more talented than the team I played on that won. Like player to player, they are better, they are more skilled, they just were. And I think the
interesting.
difference is that we had the years of culture. And
Yeah,
I've said that to them over and over that we cared so much for each other. We refused, we weren't going to lose. And so we've just got to get there as a team to where the talent is there, yes, but it's the intangible part that I think is why people win championships and why they stay great. Um, so anyways, I don't know. I saw it from the beginning. I didn't truly know until we started playing non-conference, and we had a hard non-conference schedule. And we started beating some teams, like in-state teams, and I'm like, okay, we're really scoring a lot of runs. Like I thought we'd hit, but I didn't think we'd hit this good. And we played with some bigger teams that I,
I
you
think we were
know,
the third best team in the state, with only
oh
Alabama and
yeah,
Auburn ahead. I think we didn't we sweep UAB and Troy all the times we played.
we
I
did. We beat
think
Troy twice. We beat UAB three times.
that's right.
We beat
That's right.
we split with North Alabama, but we gave North
Oh,
Alabama their first mid-major loss of the year. They had won like 20 something games.
That's right.
that's a
With
pesky school. Basketball,
mhm.
baseball, softball.
Yep, they were
I'm glad we
good.
don't play them in football.
Yeah, they were really good. We didn't play South. We go to South this year, so I guess
Okay.
we'll find out. But yeah, we played Alabama and they kicked our butt one time, but we at least competed when they came up to Samford this
Yes.
the first time and didn't get Auburn. But yeah, like I think when we can compete in state, especially because Troy and UAB and South specifically are in better conferences. They're competing. The Sun Belt is so good. American is so good right now. Um, it's good for our recruiting. It's good for just being in state. But with Logan going to Troy and Sarah being at UAB, it's always fun when we get to go play them and we get to compete against them. So it's I don't know. I felt like again we always had a good team. We had good pitching, just and depth enough to where it wasn't just one. It was kind of just everybody that we didn't have to rely on one person. So I don't know. I knew. I think when we got to conference that we had a problem. I know that sounds opposite of what I'm talking about, but we did so well in
Hmm.
non-conference and our RPI was in the 50s at one point. We got ranked the week before Mercer, I think, by the mid-major, the top 25 mid-major for the first time, which okay, grand scheme of things, is that a big deal? It's not. It is recruiting
It's
wise.
cool. It's cool.
That's big time for us.
Yeah.
Do we want to do bigger things? Yes. However, it was awesome and the girls thought it was cool and I looked at the staff and I'm like, this isn't good. We had a really good non-conference, like we're winning all these games and we just get ranked and like two people I
Yeah.
think were player of the week and I'm like, okay. Like this is
Yeah.
this isn't good. And so we got to Mercer. They were our first series. We ended up winning the series and had no idea they were as good as they were back
Sure.
then. I thought they were good, but then they ended up losing like 8 straight games after that. Um,
Yeah,
They're
swept
a
the
weird
so
doubleheader.
team.
Yeah,
it was
swept the
interesting.
doubleheader that weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But it just kind of the backstory, I guess, is that conference had never been talked about the way that we were talking about it. We know that we're a one bid league. We know that we have to win the tournament. Regular season is just really for consistency and to be great, but if you don't win the tournament, you're not going. And
Yeah.
so we talked about it all fall. We talked about it all spring, and then it got here, and it was like no one knew how to act. No
Mm,
one knew how to play um, with that amount of intensity every single game without being scared. I mean, truthfully,
sure.
that's the only way I know how to put it. And they will say the same thing. After Mercer, I looked at them and I was like, "What's going on?" And they were like, "We've just never thought about it like this." Which in my head, I'm thinking, "Well, what do you mean? Like, what are we doing?" Because we know we're a one bid league, and if we want to get to regionals, this is the only way. So it's just it happened in the middle of the year, to where the adversity happened at the wrong time. And luckily, we were good enough and talented enough to stay at the top for the majority of the conference regular season. Lost the series against Greensboro, which that put them at number one, but we still had the opportunity to win with 2 weekends left at Chat.
Yep.
And there were just some moments in the regular season at Chattanooga that we just didn't have it. And it's not talent and it's not preparation. It is in my head just 100% just culture and not being scared in big moments. And that's so much easier said than done. So I'm not I want to give them the credit and that they truly did give everything they had. But I think as coaches know that there's just always more, and that is the difference. And not being scared to do certain things or take the at bat or get hit, whatever it takes. Um, we were close, and so I think as coaches, when you're close, you know that there's just like one little outlying piece, and it's usually not softball as to why you're losing. So that's just, I don't know, that's the goal going into next year, is just to make sure that our words are going to be serve and overcome. We're going to serve each other and we're going to
I
overcome all
like
the
that.
adversity, because that was, I think, ultimately what stopped us from winning it in regular season and winning at the tournament was just toughness and being able to overcome all of it.
Yeah, the formats both in baseball and softball of these conference tournaments in a one bid league are terrible. It's
It's
like
hard.
if you gave us best 3 out of 5 for the first 2 or 3 rounds and maybe the championship is a one game, then we probably make it, like we probably do much better in that kind of format.
Yeah.
Especially with a team like this, but you know, and to your point, I think UTC has done a tremendous job building that culture because I mean, yes, do they have talented players? Of course. But they don't always have the most talented roster, and it seems like that they're usually right at the top year over year.
hmm Well,
So
that's what,
how do you how do you do that? Like, yeah, you have your motto, serve and overcome. You build the relationships, and we'll talk about this, but I think the fact that, knock on wood, no one's entered the portal is it
Buddy.
is like the biggest testament to that and to the success you're having early on in that respect. Um, but what like tangibly can you do to build that culture?
I think that words like that we say specifically matter so much. And not only just that, but how we show it on a daily basis. And I do not get it right every day. There are days that they probably can't stand me, but at the end of the day, whether you play or you don't play, there's a 0% chance that any of them can come and say that we don't love them. And I think that is, especially with women, that's what we all want. Like I want to feel loved too. The hard part is that the world doesn't give you that, and so we're trying to take this balance in line of like, okay, we can give you these affirmations, but they're temporary. This is a temporary affirmation. You want me to tell you did good? I'll tell you did good, but tomorrow you're going to need it again, and that doesn't help. So there's like this
Sure.
line, I think, of how do we make them like tougher human beings and women that can go be in the world and do their job and all the things, but also with a big heart. And so I think they respected that, hopefully, this last year that we treated them well. I think they had fun, which sounds like upward right now at the Division 1 level. Like that's not necessarily what this is all about, but
No,
they
but it's
did.
you
And
want to have
it's
fun. You want
important.
to
Yeah,
Like
have fun.
they've got
Yeah.
to
that's a
enjoy
big
this.
part. Yeah.
And they don't. Like for years, it's sometimes in travel ball, they get here, they don't like it. And this is not just Sanford, but just in general. They're so burnt out that they forget why they even do this. And so I think that's just what we saw with a lot of them is that they enjoyed it again. They had joy. I had multiple coaches come up to us and say, like, your team is different, but it's because it looks like they are enjoying themselves. They're enjoying the game. And that was it. Like that's really all that mattered this year for me is I knew if that happened, we would compete really well because we were talented enough and they had recruited really well to put us in that position. So I'm not naive to that. I think we had great talent, and I claim that none. I didn't do any of that, but I do think the culture side of it is sometimes the most important part. And so I don't know. I think that's just what we have to continue to build on is they've got to make sure that they're loving each other and serving each other because if not, we're just nine people out on the field and we're nobody. We're not a team. We're just individuals. So I don't know. We'll see how it works. We got some good recruits coming in and people returning, and like you said, with the portal, I was really proud of that. I think us as a staff, we didn't know what to expect at the end of the year, just because we did have a good season, and I was really hard on them at the end. I think outside looking in, you would be like, why in the world would you be mad? Because like we've talked about, I didn't know. I really didn't. I thought I knew, but I didn't. To only have had two winning seasons in the last however many years, I didn't know that, and that's big at the Division 1 level. And that's not even what our goal was. Our goal was to win. However, I think the testament was that they felt loved and supported, and like they wanted to be a part of it. And so, for no one to leave because they were either unhappy or too good, it was a testament to both. Like, okay, we didn't make it miserable, and so nobody wants to leave because of that. And
And
then
they're signing up
also,
again.
yeah, yeah. And then also, we've got people like Olivia Shaw who, I mean, I was asked about Olivia Shaw halfway through the year. Is she coming
I'm
back? And I'm
sure.
like, I hope
I'm
so,
sure. Well, that's what we always joke. It's like the young up and coming star. We're like, they're gone.
Yeah, especially as a sophomore, she was just freshman of the year, leading the nation in doubles for a while.
Really.
But that's just a testament to her, and what she wants to do here. She wants to win. She wants to be part of the team. She wants to be at Samford. And so I don't take much credit for that. I think she is just who she is and wants to be in a certain place. But I watched her even grow, in the fall. And she may kill me for saying this, but in the fall, she really struggled with her confidence at the plate, confidence on the field, confidence just in all of it. And I'm like, Shaw, I don't even know you, but I'm here to tell you, like, you're the best. I don't need to watch anything else. I'm not going to tell you otherwise.
Yeah, showed that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and she had a really bad start, like first 2 or 3 weeks not good, and then turned it on, and it was lights out from that moment on. So I don't know. It's just a testament to both ends. There are plenty of people that didn't get playing time that were unhappy. 100%, totally get it. And that'll always be the case. However, can we provide a good enough experience to where they still want to be a part of that? They still want to work hard and try to earn a position because they enjoy their experience outside of playing and outside of even softball. Do they enjoy the travel? Do they enjoy when we eat? Just all the outside pieces of it, and do they feel like they're growing? So, um, I loved it. I was gonna brag about it. I was waiting until the portal closed
Yes.
because I just
It's
wanted to make
remarkable.
sure.
It
Oh,
really
we've
is.
we fall into that before in every other sport at Stanford. Oh, he's fine. He'll be returning. Then yeah, we've been through it all.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I think the hopefully as we grow and we continue to win, the harder that will be to
Sure.
maintain.
Sure.
Um, But I do think Sanford's a special place, and especially for women. Like we're just not going to play pro. There is at least a good professional league now, and they had a really good summer this year. However, it's really small, in comparison to even Major League Baseball. So I think that kind of gives us the leg up, and that when we recruit someone to Sanford, they're here for a reason. I'm going to use Joy as an example. Joy is really good as a freshman, broke all, stolen base records, but she's here to go to pharmacy school. And so that helps, like that helps
That's
us in
nice.
that when we recruit, we're asking these questions and what do you want to do? And what do you want to do for the next 40 years? And we're going to say yes to it no matter what, because that's important. But I do think, they're probably the two of them specifically, like they'll have their opportunities. If I had to guess, like I said, tampering it's everywhere right now in the NCAA, and I don't know how people stop it. But I'm just thrilled that everybody's back and we can build and grow, and regardless of talent and level and happiness and unhappiness, everybody at least said yes and trying this thing again, and I think that's encouraging.
Yeah, and to that point, you've got 4 of your 5 top returners OPS last year all coming back. I think Olivia turned it around, leading an average 381 over 1,000 OPS with 10 homers and 22 doubles. I think she found her
It's not
confidence for
bad.
sure. But yeah, you got 4 of those 5 coming back, and then you go with Ella Nelson coming back too, who was a freshman last year. So yeah, a really good core returning, as you mentioned.
Yep, really good, and then good freshman class, good transfer class that we have. Really excited to see specifically the transfers, just because I've seen them play a little bit more. Some of the incoming freshmen we've watched in summer ball, but for any recruit, it's hard to know how you're gonna perform at the college level. And I'm hoping they do exactly what they should do, which is do great things. But at least with our transfers, we got one from Liberty who was just at a super regional. Her name's Brooke. And so just to be, I don't know, just to be a part of greatness, and to be around a program that wins at that level, even at the mid-major level, she just kind of brings so much experience
For
and
sure.
examples, to the team. And hey, let's do this. This is what we did here. And I mean, I'm excited to learn, from some of the stuff that she's been taught. And then we've got 2 other JUCO players that one of them was potentially the best JUCO pitcher in the nation last year with just insane numbers. And the other
Wild,
pitched and hit
wild
as
numbers.
well.
Yeah.
So and came in third in the World Series. So like between the 2 of them, they're all 3 winners. So I think they're going to add to the team in some really good ways and just elevate everything, put some really good pressure on everybody to compete. Because right now, I don't know. I don't know where everybody plays, and I don't know what happens, which is the beauty of it all. But um,
Yeah, what was your strategy for recruiting? So obviously, you have a pretty good feeling of who all's going to return. Fortunate that no one hit the portal. Did you approach how did you approach the mix of high school recruits and transfer targets?
we got here a little bit too late in the summer last year to continue with the 25 class. So 2 of them were already committed.
Okay,
And then we committed one more that we had found while we were out, watching and through camp and stuff. And then we kind of said, let's stop, because you really, like, September 1st is coming up and we're already ready for the 27s. So if you're not already there, you're behind at this point in
okay,
time. And so for us to be like well past that date last year, we just were like, okay, let's not rush this, because we're big on the relationships. Let's get to know people. Let's just stop and let's take from the portal, or JUCO. Like we always knew that we were going to save a significant amount of money and try to bring in 3 or 4 people this summer, whether it be, junior college or the portal. We didn't know. And then once we had a decent year, that became a little bit easier. We had some good conversations with some people. Sometimes it doesn't work out with Samford and academics and what transfers. And that's the hard
sure,
part with athletics, that we kind of, I think, potentially lost some really good players, but the right people are here. And the ones that we do have coming, it worked perfectly. With McKinley, the pitcher, she was from Southern Union. She's a freshman, so she has 3 years of eligibility with us, which is big time,
that's
super
amazing.
helpful. Yeah, and it's just gonna be exciting to watch. them grow. So none of them have a ton of experience in terms of Division One, just tons of playing. However, they're all just dogs, and that was on our whiteboard is find a dog and truthfully like push
Always
everybody
works
on
out.
the
Yeah.
team. Yeah. And the girls, the current team, they've already accepted, the three of them and even the incoming freshmen, but it was always the goal. And we were really honest with the team before summer happened, and that this is not the roster we will add during the summer. This has always been the plan. Don't think we're trying to start drama, all the things. We're not trying to do any of that. We have to
Sure.
fill the roster.
Yeah.
Sure.
So they've been really good sports about it. And man, I'm just so excited. If I'm gonna say the six of them between the freshmen and the transfers do what they should, I mean, it's just gonna be such a great addition to this year, hopefully.
No, that's exciting. Um, what does softball recruiting look like in general? Do you stay in Alabama, Louisiana, Texas, Florida? Like where do you do you fly? Do you drive? Do you go to games, camps? Like what does it look like?
It's a lot of everywhere right now. Luckily, some of the bigger tournaments are in the South. So between
Okay.
Atlanta and Chattanooga and Florida, those are probably some of the biggest. And then there's two national tournaments. One's in Indiana and one's in California.
Uh,
And then there's another big one in Colorado in the middle of the year. We go if we have to go. Um, we haven't been to California the last 2 years. We've been in Indiana. Um, and then we'll stay local, like with Chattanooga and Atlanta. So we don't really fly unless I went to Texas last year, but that was really the only time I had to fly. And then, I mean, luckily Birmingham is a really good softball city. Georgia is probably one of the best states right now to recruit from. I mean, they are like top notch over there.
really?
Florida is really good. Yeah, so we're lucky in that we don't have to travel a long way to get really good talent. And if you look at our roster, I'd say like 75% of the people are from Georgia. And that's always
That's a
been the
lot.
case.
Dang.
That's been the case since I was a player. I feel like everybody is from the Atlanta area.
Yeah.
So it's not bad, but we also recruit a lot from our camp because it takes a special person to say, I want to come to a private Christian school that costs a lot of money. And so when you come to camp, we at least know that that's the experience that you're wanting. And then if you're good on top of that, we're like, okay, like that's a kid that's really interested and we're gonna go watch because of that. Um, so I mean, I would say it's over half of our recruiting is when people come to camp and or we kind of hear from them about some just summer ball coaches that we have relationships with, but 9 out of 10 times they're on campus at camp because they're interested. And the way the world works right now, you have to get so far ahead of it to make yourself get out there and be known that if not, it's hard with the portal to be a high school student right now.
Yeah, I can imagine. Talk about limited opportunities.
Yeah.
So I
Too.
guess uh do you if you're so outside of the camps on campus because that's too easy. But when you're going to a camp in Atlanta or Chattanooga, do you have targets that you're going to see? Have you already met them or kind of why are you going to the camp if that makes sense?
Yeah, so we can't. There's like a age limit to where we can and can't talk to them, so they have to be a junior. Um,
They have to be a junior to talk to
September
a college
1st.
coach?
Yeah, September 1st of their junior year is when we can make a phone call. So
Wow.
we
Wow.
cannot have contact unless you're at camp, which is why camp is so important. So if they're at camp, we can talk all we want about hitting and whatever else, and
Okay.
we just can't express interest, basically. However, it's
Very
just easier to
interesting.
make a relationship on campus. So
For sure.
that's why camp is so important. But when we're off campus, we can have no contact. Really, we can't have contact with anybody, even if they're coming the next year to us. There's only so many contacts that you can
What?
have. It's crazy.
Oh,
Um,
even if they're committed, you
if they're
can't.
committed, it just depends. If they've signed already, then
Okay.
it that kind of
Doesn't
is
matter.
different. But
Okay.
like for our 26 class that's committed to us but hasn't
Hmm.
signed, we still cannot communicate with them at tournaments, even though they're committed to Samford. So, I mean,
Sure.
it's
Ugh.
nice in some ways because if
Yeah.
if the case were that coaches could be contacted whenever, people would talk to us the entire day. People would just come up to us and say hi, which is
Sure.
fine.
Sure.
I'm a relational person, but I've got to watch the games, and
Yeah.
I can only imagine what Patty Gasso at Oklahoma would. She couldn't recruit if that
Sure.
were the case. So,
Yeah.
some of these bigger schools, they're getting protected by that. However, it just is what it is. Like, you can't talk to your coach, and your coaches, we basically just have a list of, the 10 people that we're watching that weekend, and we split it up and just watch them go, watch them play,
Okay,
make
so y'all
make
really
bets.
watch for basically film purposes. Like you're watching to see how they play, not
Yeah.
just going up there to put a face in front of the name.
Yeah. I mean, their talent is usually pretty good. So, like, a lot of it's the intangible stuff of being a good teammate. And, do you pout after a strikeout? Are your parents crazy in the stands? Like,
Yeah, that's like an unsung like part of it where it's like, do we need like this is something we need to take a look at?
it is. And I'll tell you this, I'm just pregnant enough that I almost said something at the last tournament I was at because it's 8 a.m. and we've got a dad standing right here over my shoulder
Yeah.
yelling at the umpire, and I'm like,
What we
man,
doing? What we doing?
Chill.
it's too much. And it's enough though for us to be like, I'm not recruiting them. I'm not doing it because if this is how we're acting at 8 a.m. at a travel ball tournament, there's no telling what happens.
Yeah.
And it's sad, but we say all the time that parents will make or break it most of the time. So it's just stuff like that. Like we're just trying to pick up on, is this a good person, and will this person um, be a good addition to not just talent wise, but are we going to have problems for 4 years? Is she going to talk? Is it too much talk? I don't know, so it can be a lot of different aspects, but luckily, Sarah and Logan do a lot of the recruiting, especially this year, just with me being pregnant, but they have a really good eye for good talent. And I think and Samford itself sells itself like no other. I think it takes care of 75% of the work just being on
It's
Samford's
nice.
campus.
Yeah.
So, as long as we can sell the softball program, I let the campus in Birmingham do a lot of the talking because it is what I tell recruits is you'll be on your visit, you'll hear from professors or whoever, and people will stop and talk to you, and you're sitting there thinking like, this is too good to be true. Is this, can people really be this nice? And the truth is, yeah, like that's actually how it is for 99% of the people. I'm sure there's some people that have a bad experience, but
Sure.
it's true. It's exactly what you're going to get from your professors. Sometimes it could be too much. They're so involved in what you do that you're so taken care of, from softball to health science, because people are invested in you. And I don't know, it just sells itself. So we try to get the best talent we can get that's not quite, could play power four, but probably wouldn't start, and try to get them here and just hopefully let it sell itself. And we got to do the hard part, which is winning and making it a good
Yeah.
program to be part of.
Yeah, and to your point, that's why summer camp's like a big, huge portion. Like basically get them on campus, like the main goal. Even Coach Reynolds said that a couple weeks ago. So just get them on campus, and then the campus, obviously, like you said, sells itself. That's where
Yep.
those camps play a huge role in the summertime.
Yep. And a lot of people don't know Samford. They've at least heard of it. And,
Sure.
Bucky did so good with basketball that I think it changed a ton. And whether anyone else will say that or not, it did. It put Samford on the map athletically, not just in basketball, but just in all the sports. And that, who is that? Where is that even located? I mean, there's people, including myself. I'm from Alabama. I didn't know what Samford was. I was from Fairhope, Alabama, and I'd never been there. And I'm from the state. How can that be possible?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, people come on campus and they're like, I've never been here. I've never seen this. This is incredible. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. We just have to get people there. And if we can get them there, I am certain we are usually in the top three, just because of the experience that they know that they'll get, not even softball wise.
And the parents especially. That gate closes at 10 back there. Just letting you know, if they can get
I
on
say it
campus, that gate
every
closes
single
at 10.
trip. I do. I say it. I say the boys and girls don't live together, and that gate closes at 10.
Yeah, yeah,
You got to have an ID to get on campus, and they're like, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
It
yeah,
is. It's
But it is
so
nice.
funny because coaching a female sport, you have such an advantage pitching that.
Yeah.
it's not as great a pitch to the guys. Now to the moms, it's
Yeah.
always a good pitch.
Oh yeah.
It's always for the moms. Yeah, it's for the moms.
It's an awesome. It definitely sells itself.
Hundred
And
percent.
it's funny. I grew up in Chattanooga, and I had never really heard of Samford, even though
Right.
we played UTC all the time.
Right.
Um, but
That's
coach, let's
crazy.
talk a little bit about before Samford, coaching wise. So let's pick it up from your career and talk a little bit about your coaching journey to Samford, because I mean, pretty meteoric rise. Graduating and then basically what 5 years later, 6 years later, head coach of a D1 mid-major program.
Yeah. So like I said, I spent the next 2 years at Samford as an assistant. And I've got a weird story. I got in and out of coaching twice. So Parker, we got married, I guess the second year that I was coaching, and he was playing professionally, and I don't know. I'd been at Sanford then for 6 years, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this. I like coaching, but I've also never really thought about doing anything else, and kind of felt wrong to not be with him after just getting married.
Yeah,
And so I just made the decision. I'm like, all right, well, I'm actually gonna get out of coaching and I'm gonna go be with him. And at the time he was in, I think Tulsa, double A. And
the
I
drillers.
mean, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Oklahoma City after that. Yeah, yeah.
we had a mattress on the floor and
Nice.
everything that could fit in our car was what we lived on with, I mean, no money. Y'all know how the minor league
It's
life
tough.
and pay is. It's hard, and I just quit because I felt right. I don't know. It was looking back probably not the right thing to do, but I just wanted to be with him and support him. Because the one thing we always would say to each other, and we said it for even years after this, is we were just missing the biggest moments in each other's life over and over and over again. I mean, he would have
Dang.
a great outing or get called up and I'm not there, or I would win or get a whatever and he's not there. And so I don't know. It was just enough for me to say I don't want to coach anymore. So I got into real estate for a year and then
As everyone does
that
who gets out
yeah,
of anything.
yeah, that just wasn't for me. And we were in Tulsa and the World Series was on
Okay.
and he looked at me and he was like, you have to go back. Like you have to get back in it. Cause I mean, I think he could tell that I was miserable and I was trying really hard to be the supportive wife, which I am, but to an extent of like, I think from the get go, he has always been attracted to like my ambition. And he said that like he knows that I had my own dreams and that was something that he liked from the very beginning. And so I think that was probably hard for him to look at me and say, you need to go, because that sounds wrong in a marriage, but it
Sure.
it wasn't. It was the right thing to say and the right thing to do. And it led me to Mercer. So Molly Hansen was at Mercer as the pitching coach, and they needed another assistant. And so that was the connection that got us to Macon, which was COVID. So spent the year
Dang.
there. COVID happened,
Dang.
and the minor league season actually got canceled. And so that was the first year that Parker and I got to like live together, be together. Um, and then the job at Asbury came open. I had a professor from Samford, which to go back to Samford, had a professor from Samford reach out and say, "Here's this opportunity. This guy used to work at the SEC office. He's a good friend of mine. They need a head coach." And I'm like, "Okay, is this a good career move to get out of Division One, go be in Division? Well, at the time they were NAI, but they were going D3. Is it better for me to be a head coach or stay in Division One as an assistant? Like
Yeah. It's
what's
a tough
gonna
call.
get me, yeah, ultimately to be a head coach at the Division One level?" And I called a few people and just kind of asked their opinion, and every single person said, "Go be a head coach. It doesn't matter what level, you've got to learn how to be a head coach and make decisions." And so again, like because Parker was doing what he was doing, it allowed us to say yes to being able to move. And um, so I spent 2 years up there. I loved it. I don't know that I would have left.
Where is Asbury?
It's in Lexington,
Okay.
like just south of Lexington. So I actually was born in Kentucky. I lived there until sixth grade.
Okay.
So I had a connection with it, and
Yeah.
um, you know, I I have family in Louisville. I mean, it was easier, I guess, to say yes than just to like a random place. So,
Hmm.
I got my master's while I was up there. That was important because I knew I needed a master's to eventually be a head coach at the Division I level. And
Really?
yeah, I got pregnant with Lauren in the second year and coached while being pregnant. And Parker finished his contract and had Tommy John in that last season. And so it kind of all just kind of coincided together to where he finished up and Lauren was being born. And Tony called Parker to come down to Samford. And so I'm like, all right, well, I'm in this position again. What I want to do, just had a baby. And, 6 weeks later, we were moving to Birmingham. And I don't know. The rest is kind of history, but I got out of coaching again and was in the fitness industry, which again just wasn't really for me.
What?
And I think that's I don't know, like I think it's a testimony of saying like what you're called to do.
Yep.
But I think in terms of like our family and Parker himself as well, I think hopefully he can see that it doesn't I'm going to choose him over and over no matter what. Like this family, we're going to do what we need to do. And I think hopefully that's just been like our story kind of and how this has kind of all happened. I'm not saying it's because we did all this, but I think it's just because we've just trusted that it would all work out in the end. We didn't know what it would look like or how we would get there, but we've always tried to say yes to each other and each other's dreams and not, just say, sorry, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And I don't regret any of it. I actually think it's all given me some better perspective and I know that coaching is what I'm called to do. I know that coaching is what he's called to do. We live a hard life in terms of seeing each other and travel and people are always like, well, what are you going to do with the kids? I don't know. We did it last year. Well, I guess we'll figure it out this
We'll
year.
do it again.
We'll do it again. Yeah, like that's just like our saying is just do hard things and that's what we've done for years. And so, I don't know, we're going to keep doing it.
Literally though, literally.
Yeah,
I mean, that
literally.
is
Yeah, very. Yeah.
crazy.
We're going to keep doing it. But,
Yep.
we talked about it. Birmingham Southern came open, got the job, got back in coaching, and then it closes. And so it is. It's just been a roller coaster of like, okay, we're in a good spot. No, we're not. Yes, we are. No, we're not. Yes, we are. And then finally, this is the most consistent I think our life has been probably since we got married. And just that we know we both want to be in these places. We know we want to be here for as long as we can and regardless of how it happened and what had to happen, with the closing and jobs and just being different places, it's at least worked out to be the place that we love the most and with family. So we just couldn't ask for more.
It is remarkable how it all
Yep.
kind of fell together. But gee
It is.
whiz, it's a roller coaster to get back to Birmingham.
It is, but we're here and we're not going anywhere unless they kick us out. I'm tired of moving.
Yeah. Yeah. I would be too. Yeah. Goodness. Yeah.
Grant, do you have anything else?
No, I mean, just what are you looking forward to most? You kind of talked about it already, but what are you looking forward to most going into your second season? Maybe something you're looking forward to being a head coach at your alma mater once again.
Yeah, I think just last year was like drinking from a fire hydrant in every aspect. I didn't know what I didn't know, and I thought it would be difficult on the softball front, and I think I always questioned myself in that if I ever became a Division I head coach, am I softball smart enough to do that? And that was never the question that I should have been asking. I think I had no idea the amount of just administrative work, fundraising, what it just entailed on a daily basis of managing problems. And I don't know that there's a day that goes by that I don't have a issue in front of me, whether it's from the team or something else, budget wise, whatever. That it's just kind of constant stress in that way, and it's just different because it's on a larger scale than what I've ever worked with. So I think just knowing now that that's what is to be expected. Everything went fine last year, but I think just having the experience of, okay, if we want something, I need to ask for it. I need to find the money for it. I need to push for it. Or if I want to get a recruit, this is how it probably has to happen from now on. I can't wait like that, just all of that I just tried to do our best, and the staff was doing the same thing. We were all doing it for the first time. Just to have that experience, I think it will be the lightest part of it. I think being very pregnant for the fall and trying to manage a newborn in the
Mhm.
spring is the most nerve, I guess, wracking part of it. However, we got 20 girls and they're going to love her. And my staff is so great too that they're going to help out as much as they can. So I don't know. I think on a softball side of it, just trying to build, because I think consistency is the hardest part. Anybody can have a really good year, and we did have that. And I haven't said that specifically to the team enough, that I was proud of what we did, even though we didn't win. It is a really good stepping stone, and I think we recruited well because of it. And that was all the team. That we didn't do that. That was their talent. So just excited about what it can look like if we can put it all together again and just build that culture a little bit more. I think if we add one or two things with the talent we have, then hopefully that's enough to try to get them across and let them feel what it feels like to succeed. And not just that, I obviously want to win the championships, but I want them to feel it. I want them to know that their hard work will matter, and it matters regardless. But just to see it pay off and to feel the feeling, and then just try to understand what it means to repeat it and try to be great, because then that's even harder, just to do it again. But I'm gonna let people call me crazy. It may take us 5 years to win, I guess, but until I go to practice and I'm like, this isn't a very good team, I'm gonna keep saying it. I
Yeah.
think we can compete. I think we have the talent, and there just takes a lot of things off the field to get it right. And until we can do that, then that'll be our biggest thing. But I think we'll at least continue to put up good numbers and compete hard in the SoCon. And if not win, at least, get really close each year until we can finally get over it. But I'm excited to see what they'll do. I know they've worked hard all summer. So I miss them. I'm ready for them all to be back. Recruiting has been fun, but I don't know. I miss them. I love them. They they probably need to hear that from me a little bit more on how I felt about last year. So maybe I'll start the team meeting with it. You guys have influenced me tonight.
Okay, let's play this clip right here. We're all good to go. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, Coach, we appreciate it, and you should enjoy the building of the program, because right now everyone is just excited to have a competitive softball team. Once you build us into a juggernaut, which it sounds like you are building us into, our expectations are going to change. So just enjoy it now, because we are all very excited.
No pressure. Yeah. Thanks, Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate it. It's been honestly one of the joys of my life, and hopefully the girls can see that and continue to buy into it. But I want them to feel it and be part of it. And I think I tell them at the end of the day, like, this kind of stuff will never fulfill us. So there's only a level to it that Scotty Scheffler, it was the perfect speech that he could give the other day. It's exactly how I feel. This is only going to do so much for us. However, I think we're called to do this at a high level when we have this kind of talent. And so just, I want them to feel it, I want them to see it. And we're going to keep pushing them as hard as we can do it, and loving them, all the right things. So I appreciate it. Hopefully we're there, and then you guys aren't too hard on us if we can ever get there.
No,
Yes,
it's
Sam.
just always fun to
Yeah.
cheer on a winner, and it is amazing. It is amazing that just the team last year statistically puts y'all a top 10 team in school history by just having a winning season. So love it, love what you're
Love it.
building, and we're excited for the next year, Coach.
Yep.
So thank you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you guys.